In the beginning, there was only the vast above and the endless waters below. The sky belonged to Olodumare, the supreme being, whose breath stirred the first winds and whose silence held the unspoken shape of all things to come. Below stretched an ocean without shore, gray and trembling, where no land had ever risen and no foot had ever stood. The waters whispered to themselves in the dark, dreaming of something they could not yet name. And in the highest reaches of the heavens, in a realm of golden light beyond the understanding of mortals, the divine ones waited, unaware that the world was about to be born. Olodumare was not a god of thunder or war, nor of harvest or storm. He was the source from which all of these would flow, the still center of everything. From his presence radiated a force the Yoruba would come to call ash, the power that makes things so, the breath that turns a word into a deed. Every river that would one day run, every child that would one day laugh, every drum that would one day sound across the savannah, all of it slept within that ash, folded like a seed inside the quiet of the Most High. And when at last Olodumare decided that the waters should no longer be empty, he did not descend himself. He called instead for his children, the orishas. The orishas were not created as servants, but as expressions of the divine will, each one carrying a fragment of Olodumare's vast nature. There were said to be hundreds of them, some great and some small, some who would shape the destiny of empires and others who would watch over a single grove of trees or a single bend in a stream. They lived in Orun, the spirit world, a place layered above the mortal realm like sky upon sky. And among them one stood closest to the throne, trusted above the rest, given the first and greatest of all tasks. His name was Obatala, the king of the white cloth, the sculptor of forms, the gentle one whose hands had been chosen to bring solid ground into the world of endless water. Olodumare summoned Obatala and placed before him the tools of creation. There was a snail shell filled with loose earth, soft and dark and heavy with possibility. There was a white hen with restless feet. And there was a palm nut, small and unremarkable, holding within it the promise of forests yet to come. Olodumare spoke, and his voice was the sound of the universe deciding. He told Obatala to descend from the heavens, to scatter the earth upon the face of the waters, and to make a place where life might take root. Obatala bowed, gathered his sacred instruments, and prepared to climb down from Orun on a long golden chain that linked the world above to the void below. But the journey to creation is never a simple one, and even the favored son was not immune to the small failings that follow even the greatest beings. As Obatala made his way through the heavens toward the chain, he passed the dwellings of the other orishas, and he grew thirsty under the labor of his great purpose. He came upon palm wine, sweet and golden, and he drank. 1 cup became 2, and 2 became more than he could count, until the sculptor of the world grew heavy-eyed and slow. By the time he reached the edge of the heavens, his careful hands had become clumsy, and the weight of the wine pressed his eyelids closed. There, at the very threshold of creation, Obatala lay down and fell into a deep and dreamless sleep. Olodumare, who sees all things, watched the favored son slumber, and because the work of the world could not wait upon the weakness of one, he turned to another of his children. This was Ojujuwa, bold where Obatala was gentle, decisive where his brother was careful. Olodumare gave him the snail shell, the hen, and the palm nut, and bade him finish what had been left undone. Ojujuwa took up the sacred tools without hesitation and climbed down the golden chain, descending through the cold and trackless air until the gray waters spread out beneath him, vast and waiting. When he could go no further, Ojujuwa poured out the earth from the snail shell, and it fell upon the surface of the waters in a small dark heap. Then he set down the white hen, and the hen began to scratch, as hens will, spreading the earth this way and that with her busy feet. Wherever she scattered the soil, the waters drew back and dry land rose in its place, growing wider and firmer with every passing moment. Hills lifted their backs from the deep, plains unrolled toward the horizon. And at the heart of it all, where Ojujuwa had first set his foot, there rose the sacred city that the Yoruba would forever call the cradle of the world, the holy place of ile-ife. Last of all, Ojujuwa planted the palm nut in the new-made ground, and from it sprang a great tree with 16 branches, the first forest, the green promise that the world would be a place of growing things. And so the earth was finished, not by the one who had been chosen, but by the one who had been ready. When Obatala woke at last from his wine-heavy sleep and saw that the world had been made without him, he was filled with a deep and lasting sorrow. From that day, it is said, Obatala forbade his followers ever to touch palm wine, that they might never repeat the failing that had cost him the honor of creation. Yet Olodumare in his wisdom did not leave the gentle one without purpose. To Obatala was given a second and tender duty, the shaping of human beings from the clay of the new earth. With his patient hands he molded the bodies of the first people, pressing form into the soft ground, giving each one its limbs and its face and its quiet dignity. When his work was done, Olodumare breathed the spark of life into the still figures, for only the Supreme Being could grant the living breath. But the old story holds a note of compassion within it, for on the days when Obatala once again let palm wine cloud his judgment, his hands would falter, and the people he shaped would be born different from the rest. And so Obatala became the protector of all those born unlike their neighbors, the guardian of the unusual and the gentle patron of the vulnerable, watching over them with the special care of a maker who understood his own imperfection. As the world filled with people, the orishas began to descend from Orun to take their places among the living, and each carried a domain that reflected the deep forces of existence. There came Ogun, the Iron Lord, the master of the forge and the clearer of paths, his great cutlass flashing as he hacked the first road through the untamed bush, so that gods and mortals alike might travel where before there had been only wilderness. He was the patron of blacksmiths and hunters, of warriors and all who work with metal, fierce in battle yet honest in his fury, the one who swore that he would always defend those who kept faith with him. There came Yemoja, the great mother of waters, whose name means the mother whose children are the fish, too many to be counted. From her flowed the rivers and the deep places of the sea, and from her womb, the old singers say, came forth many of the orishas themselves. She was the comforter, the giver of children, the one to whom the barren prayed and the frightened turned. Her presence was the cool current beneath the surface of life, steady and endless, holding the world the way a mother holds a sleeping child. And there came Shango, the Thunder King, perhaps the most vivid of all the orishas in the memory of his people. In the oldest tellings, he was once a living ruler, the fourth king of the great city of Oyo, a man of terrible power and burning pride who could summon lightning with the strike of his double-headed axe. So great was his force that when at last he passed from the world of men, he did not simply die. He ascended, becoming the orisha of thunder and fire and justice, the storm that splits the sky and the drum that calls the faithful to dance. His 3 wives became rivers, and his voice became the rolling crash that follows the lightning across the African night. Beside these great ones moved Oshun, the goddess of the sweet waters of the rivers that run clear and cool, of love and beauty and the golden honey of life. She was laughter and tenderness, vanity and mercy all at once, the youngest of the orishas yet beloved above many. When the other gods in an old and treasured tale grew proud and ignored her, the world withered, for without her sweetness nothing could flourish, and they learned that even the mightiest powers depend upon gentleness to thrive. Over all the affairs of gods and mortals presided Orunmila, the orisha of wisdom and prophecy, the keeper of the great oracle called Ife. It was Orunmila who understood the threads of destiny that Olodumare wove for every soul, and through the casting of sacred palm nuts and the reading of ancient verses, his priests could glimpse the hidden shape of a person's fate. For the Yoruba believed that before each soul left Orun to be born into the world, it knelt before Olodumare and chose its destiny, its ori, the inner head that would guide its steps through life. And the wisdom of Orunmila was the bridge between that forgotten choice and the living, breathing person who must walk it out beneath the sun. So the pantheon took its shape, a great family descending from the Supreme Being at its summit, through the divine ones who shaped and ordered the world, down to the countless spirits who dwelt in every river and grove and crossroad. Olodumare reigned above, distant and serene, the source of all ash. Below him the orishas labored and loved and quarreled and forgave, as near to humanity in their passions as they were vast in their power. And below them walked the people of ile-ife and all their descendants, carrying within each chest the spark of divine breath and the quiet weight of a chosen destiny. And this is how the Yoruba remember the dawning of all things, not as a cold accident of empty forces, but as a story of intention and of failing, of the chosen one who slept and the ready one who acted, of a gentle maker redeemed by mercy, and a world raised dry and green from the face of the endless waters. The rivers still carry the names of the gods, the thunder still speaks with the voice of a king, and in the holy ground of ile-ife, where the white hen first scratched the soil, the cradle of the world rests quietly still, remembering the morning when the heavens reached down and the earth was born.